Thank you.
Thank you very much. You want to tell us something about yourself?
Shall I give you my 2-minute intro? My name is Ed Spate. I'm running for Circuit Court Judge in the 5th Judicial Circuit, which compromises Marion, Citrus, Hernando, Lake, and Sumter counties. I've been a practicing attorney for the past 17 years. The first half of that was up in the state of Maine. For about 8 years, I was in private practice, represented people in divorce, represented people who had issues with foreclosures, represented children as a guardian ad litem. I helped to form corporations. I helped people who were fighting over money. And then we moved down to down to Florida to be closer to family. And for the past 9 years, I have been with the Public Defender's Office in Citrus County. And the last 5 years of that, I've been the Chief Assistant Public Defender in Citrus County, representing people from juveniles charged with marijuana at school up to capital homicide and death penalty cases. I'm married, I have 2 children. My wife is a kindergarten teacher at Seven Rivers Christian School in Lecanto. My oldest daughter, Lindsay, is right here. She just graduated from Seven Rivers Christian, and she's spending the summer going around with me, getting some life experience before she heads up to Gainesville to be a new Gator. I understand the power that the courts have. I understand the impact that courts can have on people's lives. I believe that the courts should be efficient and should address people's problems quickly with respect so that they're not spending all their days tied up in court. I'm not going to be a judge who legislates from the bench. I believe that judges should follow the law that the legislature gives to us, and that they should treat everyone with respect and dignity, because people don't ask to come to court. Court's usually forced upon them, and it affects children, it affects families, it affects businesses, it affects all of our lives. I'm hoping that I can earn your vote for Circuit Court Judge, and I'll be happy to take your gauntlet of questions.
Thank you. Before we go any further, I'm going to give a disclaimer for both of you. If a question that I ask is one that you don't feel comfortable, because there's so many strict laws what you can and cannot ask a judge. Do you think the Constitution's fair? Well, what's he going to say, or she's going to say? You got to be very somewhat elementary in my questions. But if one is there that you don't feel comfortable with, you've got to live with the consequences. All you got to do is say, I prefer not to answer that because.
Sure.
And we'll move on to the next one. Because if it's an illegal situation, that's the last thing I want to do is get either one of you in that. You may have touched a little bit on this, but Ed, what kind of jobs, interests, or volunteer activities did you pursue during law school and present?
During law school, I actually worked full-time with the State Labor Department under Governor Pataki in New York State. And I commuted over 90 miles each way, 3 or 4 nights a week, depending on what year it was, to go to law school. Since I graduated from law school, I was up in Brewer. I was on my planning board. I was chairman of the planning board for Brewer. I was involved in some local political organizations, the names of which I'm not allowed to speak as a judicial candidate. I've been very active in my children's school. I actually had the great fortune to be able to serve as an assistant track coach a couple years ago for my daughter. It's one of the best experiences of my life. Very involved in my church. I'm an apprentice deacon, should be ordained later this summer with the church. We are very involved in our local church community. And I like to cycle. In my spare time, that's what I do. We go out and ride 60, 70 miles on the Withlacoochee Trail every Sunday morning. We do the church on Saturday night, and a bunch of us from the church go on Sunday mornings.
Wow, very good. As a prospective judge, what do you consider your greatest strengths and weaknesses?
I consider my greatest strengths my experience. For the past 17 years, I have represented people in family law. I have represented people in contract disputes. I have put together corporations, and now I'm practicing primarily in criminal law. This seat is not going to be a criminal law seat. It's likely going to be a family law and a general civil seat, primarily in Citrus and Hernando counties. So criminal experience at this point is not going to do any of us any good. But my experience across a wide range of different legal issues is going to serve me well in this position. I also have, as a public defender, have managed an incredibly huge docket. I think my workload as a judge is actually going to go down from what it is right now. So I think I know how to handle complex issues and address them quickly and reasonably and responsibly. I also think I've got the heart of a servant. I know that a judge is here to serve the people. It's not the other way around. And I think that my service to others is one of my greatest strengths.
Thank you. Edward, do you believe the current system for disciplining lawyers and judges is effective? Why or why not? And I can repeat any questions that you like.
I don't know that there's a better alternative. Lawyers are sort of self-policed by the bar and then ultimately by the court system. If somebody commits a violation of one of the canons, ultimately, they'll go before a panel that decides whether they've done anything wrong. Actually, the first level through the bar is most complaints that come in are handled administratively. They get thousands and thousands of complaints, very few of which ever have to be answered. Working as a public defender, lots of times people aren't happy because they end up going to prison. A lot of my clients are guilty. Part of what we do is we're asking for mercy from the courts than actually doing justice. And when people commit crimes and get sentenced to long terms in prison, they complain a lot. I've actually only had to answer one complaint to the bar because he wrote it really, really well, but I did an awesome job for him. Most of them are handled by administratively up front. I don't see a better system.
This one you might not like the question. Have you ever been disciplined by the Florida bar?
No, and as I just said, people complain all the time. There's a procedure, it's called a 3850. It's ineffective assistance of counsel. I wish there were a corollary, ineffective assistance of client, But I've had to actually go to a hearing in front of a judge, I think 5 times in the past 9 years, and have never been found to be ineffective. I have only once had to respond to a written bar complaint, and again, I was found to have provided very high quality service to my people.
Thank you. Why should voters support you over your opponent?
I've got the experience. I've been in private practice for half my career. I've been in a public servant for the past 9 years. I've got experience in family law. I've got experience in corporate law. I've got experience in civil law. I've got experience in criminal law. I've represented real people that have real problems. I've represented children, I've represented families, I've represented businesses. I've got the experience for the position that we're running for. I've also been a leader. I'm the Chief Assistant Public Defender for Citrus County. I manage a staff of about 7 lawyers and a similar number of support staff, in addition to managing a docket that involves capital cases, involves felony cases. I handle all the juvenile cases for my office. So I've got the experience that I think my opponent does not.
Do you possess any expertise in a field other than law?
Parenting?
I wasn't going to go there, but my daughter said parenting. I think the most important thing to me is my family. I'm very proud to have, I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud of, I'm very proud of the person that she's become and she's going to be. So, next question.
Very good. Do you feel the war on drugs has been effective? And can you offer any suggestions to make it effective if you feel it isn't?
I think this one's right up on the line of things we should and shouldn't answer. The legislature gives the laws. The legislature has set certain priorities that people might agree with or disagree with, but they are the legislative priorities. There are minimum mandatories for certain offense. If you commit a certain offense within 3 years of getting out of prison, then the minimum you're going to do is set. If you possess a certain amount of drugs, the minimum that you can get is capped. If Florida has sentencing guidelines. If you have committed this offense and your criminal history is A, B, and C, they give you a range within which you can be sentenced. So I don't know if that exactly answers your question, but the legislature sets the priorities, the legislature sets the laws. It is up to judges to follow the laws as given to them by the legislature and to not go off on their own.
Thank you. And I don't know if you can answer this one or not, but do you feel enough is being done to stop deadbeat dads from not paying their child support?
Again, we have laws. As a judge, I will follow the law as given to us by the legislature, you know. One of the requirements that I, as a public defender, have to do is every single day, 365 days a year, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, there are first appearances. You get arrested, you have the right to go in front of a judge within 24 hours. And I wouldn't say every day, but 4 out of 7 days a week, one of the people that is in jail that's been arrested the day before is there on a writ, which is a writ of bodily attachment for not paying their child support. Florida takes it seriously. The judges have to look at it and, again, follow the law, but Florida takes it seriously. I see almost every day, Florida enforcing child support laws.
This is the last one. If your religion and the Constitution are not on the same page, which would you side with?
As a judge, we swear an oath. As a lawyer, we swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of Florida and the Constitution of the United States. I take my oath very seriously. You know, one of the provisions of the oath that I have taken is to fight for people whose cases people might find repugnant. You know, as a public defender, I fight for people whose causes I find repugnant. But it is their right under our Constitution. I am the Sixth Amendment. You know, you have the right to counsel, no matter who you are and what you've been accused of doing. So I've sworn an oath to follow the Constitution. The judicial oath is very similar to the oath I've already taken as an attorney. I will follow my oath and I will follow the Constitution.
That's it. Now, if you'd like to, closing statements?
I get 3?
I think it's 3 minutes.
Okay. All right. This election is going to be decided on August 28th. There's only 2 of us running, and so the primary day for us is election day. And I get to see my family again. This is a big circuit that we're running in. There's 5 counties. We're going from Claremont up here to Ocala and beyond, down to Brooksville, spending a lot of time in that little retirement community that takes up the 3 counties. When you go to the polls on election day, I want you to look past the first name down to the second one and remember 3 things: my experience, my leadership, and my values. I think those are the things that set me apart from my opponent. My experience, 17 years practicing in family law, corporate law, civil law, and criminal law. I was the chairman of the planning board. I've been a guardian ad litem. I've got experience across the board in all of the issues that are actually going to be before this particular judge. My leadership. I was the president of the Citrus County Bar Association. My peers elected me president of their organization. Up in Maine, I was the vice chairman of the family law section of the bar. I taught other lawyers, and in fact, I've taught judges about juvenile law, about family law. I have been a member of the Florida State Bar Association's Leadership Committee, which brings together a diverse group of people from all over the state, training them to be the future leaders of the judiciary and the bar. And I was nominated by the bar to be a member of that committee. My values, you know, my daughter, you know, pulled my heart a little bit, but she's my first priority. My family is my first priority. Our families are my first priority. I'm not running to be a judge. I don't see this as, you know, the crowning jewel on my career. I'm not running because I think it's the next step in a political career. I'm running because the people who work in the court system, the judges, the bailiffs, the clerks, other attorneys have encouraged me to run because they see the way I practice and they see the kind of lawyer I am, and they think that I'm going to be the kind of judge that they want to see in their system. You know, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve the people. I'm not here to serve myself. I'm here to follow the law. I'm here to follow the Constitution. And I hope that I can earn all your vote in our primary on August 28th. Thank you.